everybody hear me okay here? How we doing? Hope everyone's doing well. As always, if you can hear me, that would be great. So let me know here. Make sure I'm not on mute. All right. How's everybody else doing? Feel free to, don't be shy, chime in. All right. I guess it's a quiet crowd today, but give everybody another minute or two. By the way, here's a stock I'm kind of keeping an eye on here. Can see a bunch more, a lot of you coming on here. That's right. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. My older brother is pulling into Columbus as we speak. He's attending the Veterans Day event at my daughter's elementary school. He gets to get up there and speak and yeah, sorry about that, Barry. We sent the rain your way. we got we got a fair share of it over here. But all right, we've given it enough time. Let's go ahead and get on into it here. Going back to last week, pretty straightforward stuff. Um, Market rally wasn't really all that big of a surprise after Tuesday's rally. As we have discussed uh, more times than we can count over the years, that is not uncommon, whether it be an FOMC, jobs report, you name it. It's not uncommon for the market to tip its hand a little bit, give you an idea what it plans to do or what it's thinking about doing. Definitely no guarantees, no foolproof, but as we discussed last week, if the S&P were to break back above this 5765, right, that had not only been resistance multiple times, but then been support twice when we were above it, back to resistance when we were below it. If we were to break through it again, again, think of it like standing, being in a house, standing in the living room, right, go down the steps into the basement. your living room floor now becomes your ceiling, your basement ceiling. But if you go back up, right, you're now free to go up to the second floor. So Tuesday seemed to imply that the market was moving higher Wednesday, regardless of who won. Uh, Unless, of course, the market knew who was going to win. I mean, so there's that case, I suppose. But if that was the case, then why weren't we doing this on this day, right? And if you look back, I think in the previous two elections, it didn't matter who won. Market rallied the next day. Could chalk it up to simply clarity, right? One less thing we have to question or worry about, one less unknown, so forth and so on. But bottom line is, we expected that we would be moving higher, and we did. Our Tesla trade worked out awfully well. And for those of you in my mentoring program, we had a pretty good week. Both our FUTU and our BST trades worked out pretty well. So not too shabby at all. Smart trades. I don't know how many of you are in smart trades. We put that spy trade on. We went out like nearly 2 months. Matter of fact, I think we went out like 2 months, and just weren't really expecting to get to 600 that quick. So that was an easy, whatever it was, maybe 150, 200%. I forget what that was, but we thought that would take a little bit longer. So we got there so quick. We decided to take that gain, and so thank you, market. Pretty nice run up in 5 days from 5,700 to 6,000. So pretty nice little jaunt, and obviously nothing saying that we have to peak here or anything. And we are up in the pre-market. But remember, just because we're in rally mode, just because it's still a bull market, like you kind of see some of the, some of those clowns out there acting like just because it's a bull market that means we don't pull back or something, right? Obviously, you can look right here in front of you. We pulled back 100 times in the last year, right? So, you always want to kind of be somewhat aware of the fact that definitely our view has been for quite some time, along with many others, that probably rallying at least in the end of the year, beginning of next year. No reason not to think that yet. Um, we generally, the only time I personally ever make any kind of major calls on a market is when there's a large momentum divergence of some kind, right? Other than that, we look at these types of things as, expect to move lower and leave it at that. Okay. But for example, for those of you not familiar with it, I like bigger scale. So if we're going to make a big call, we want big scale. Like this is a daily divergence, and sure enough, it led to a decline, right? But I wouldn't look at that and say, oh boy, watch out, here comes a correction, or here comes a bear market. Remember, so larger scale, larger implications. So what we would look at is going into something like a monthly, keeping in mind that, when you look at these types of divergences and such, when you have like an intraday versus a daily versus a weekly versus a monthly, the larger the scale, the harder it is to form them, right? So there's more information that it takes. So as you can probably imagine, the more reliable it can be. All right. Hold on just one moment here for a second. I'm gonna mute this. All right. Everybody hear me still? I think I'm unmuted. Just want to double check. Looks like I'm unmuted, but that button's still highlighted. Okay, real quick. Oh, all right, good. Thank you. Thank you, William. I just want to make sure. Okay, so very rarely over time have I made a big call, like for, again, like a bear market type thing, or even like a, correction. And when I have, it's been because, and I know a lot of you have already been around to see these things, but it's these major monthly momentum divergences, right? So when we made this call for the bear market, it was because of what we saw here. Um, and in all fairness, I was expecting a little bit more than this fall. Um, but our target range of this fall was somewhere between 20 and 50%. I thought we'd end up more like closer to the 50%, but I think we end up with what, 30 or something like that, 30% or whatever it was. So, but anyway, so at this point, we don't see anything really like that. I don't, there's nothing really here that I can be getting too worked up at. It is worth noting that on the weekly, you can kind of see we are nowhere near these peaks. So price momentum isn't what it was back here. Does that, mean anything? Yeah, well, we'll find out. But for now, seasonally, we also know this is a pretty good time of year. Um, and it should go into, if it's going to hold up, it should go into next year, and then we'll take it from there. I would not be surprised. Well, I guess I'd put it this way. I think everyone should expect, um, I think everyone should be kind of expecting a correction, next year of some kind, maybe more than one. So it's something to keep in mind. When you look at just a very, very back of the napkin, you get one every 1.5, 2 years or so. And as you can see, we didn't quite get it. I mean, this was pretty close here, but but this was like, still fell short of that correction, that technical correction. So at least I think it did. Or did we get there? Maybe we did. It's close. What we had there, change. It's almost like exactly 10%. It looks like pretty close there. So didn't quite get there. So kind of do. So I think we'll have a good time here the next couple months, and then you probably see sometime next year where you get yourself a little bit of a nasty one at some point. So don't be surprised if we look back. I mean, how many have we had since this bull market started? There's your low. This one was, if I remember, what we got here, 4,600. Drop into what do we got here, 4,100. So so we had a little correction there. And like I said, this one's pretty close. That's almost exactly 10%. So we've had this one, and what are we at here? 2.5 years into this thing, or 2 years. So all right. So I mean, it would make sense. That's probably I would guesstimate you're looking at somewhere going into spring, or that typical rough time that we commonly see over the summer going into the fall. Again, if seasonality means anything. But all right, so market wise, path is up, and don't be surprised if we get a little pullback here sooner rather than later. We are still up 1/4 point there. Yeah. Stock wise, let's kind of come around here as we were just looking at. PGR was worth a look. Pretty clear level at 260. You can see tested as resistance 4 different times there. So Friday getting a little push through it. So this would seem to imply higher prices to come. Reminds me a little bit over here when CRM finally, got it back above this 310, right? That real tough spot back over here. And then you kind of see what can tend to happen. All right. Once you kind of, break on through, right? Who else did I see do that recently? It wasn't Dell, although Dell pulling back to 130 could be a great spot for an entry. Obviously, Tesla benefiting very well. I don't think anybody's a little surprised there, since Trump and Elon are pretty good buddies. So this was one of the trades we kind of knocked out of the park, although the thing kept going. Friday's day is the one that surprised me. Kind of seemed like we were slowing down here a little bit. We had a 300 target, but if you go back, right, might have thought right here, this was something we stalled at like 4 different times. So might have thought that we stopped and think about 315, but as you can see, no can do. So certainly looks like we should be talking about challenging some highs here. We've been highlighting this kind of almost like an inverse head and shoulders, like a consolidation. So Tesla could have itself a ways to go. And what else were we looking at last week? Meta got us, unfortunately, like it always does. But I would keep an eye on Meta. We've tested that 600 3 times. So now that we are out of it, I'm sure now it's going to skyrocket to the moon. That's what it needs. It needs us to get out of it before it can do anything worthwhile. Stock having a party Wednesday and Thursday. But by golly, we're in it. We're going to stop moving just for you guys. So I keep an eye. You can get through again. You get through that 600. I've kept this channel up here mostly because of here. You'll notice that after Meta broke through, notice how it tested it here, tested it here, tested it here. Could just be the levels in question, but it sure looks like this line is something that's still kind of bumping up against. But I think you take out 600, you definitely want to look to get involved on that front. Bitcoin continues to go. We've had that view for months and months and months. So no, the election has nothing to do with anything, right? We've been forecasting Bitcoin to. We put our BITO trade on was way back here, or when it was even before this. Way back when we were talking about Bitcoin should be, it's entering a cycle where it should be heading higher for a while. All it's done for months and months and months is consolidate. We were just in a nice little BitX trade a while ago. So these guys are going to all pop. There's that 40 level we were talking about. Just took too long to get there. But so yeah, so MSTR popping to 300 right out of the gate today. So nice little jump there. But yeah, there's no real surprises there. If you've been, for those of you in my coaching program, we write up Bitcoin every week, and we've been talking about that very, very big flag that looks like the handle of a massive cup and handle, right? So you combine that with, again, the seasonality and the cyclic tendency of Bitcoin. Nothing happening right now should be a shock to anybody that follows Bitcoin, right? I can't imagine there's one person on this planet that would be surprised if you are a follower of Bitcoin, right? So we're finally getting going, broke out of that funk. And a couple weeks ago, again, we were talking about that kind of bullish wedge formation that implied a break higher up out of that flag or handle. So everything's happening as expected. So I'd be thinking more and more. I would think Bitcoin should be, and all of its little counterparts here, MSTR coin, all these guys, I think we should be seeing higher for quite some time. Right. So coin last week, taking back our little 265 mark. So could be a play there as well. And who else were we watching last week? NVIDIA's hitting some new highs. We're keeping an eye on MDB. So we continue to watch this 300 mark. We seem to kind of have a little bit of a trend line of support as well. But if the stock can take out this 300, then I think you open the door to 320 pretty easily. So if you don't have this list, I think you should be ready for when that thing potentially breaks through. I would guess it's only a matter of time before it gets there. And let's see, who else were we watching last week? Looking down the list here. I already talked about Tesla. We threw Conoco in our list. Nice little range. Check that out. 150, 102.50. Pretty clear. Right. And obviously staying true and consistent to what I tend to subscribe to, and what I encourage everyone to, which is stick to the 90 to 95% of what actually makes a difference in your trading. Unfortunately, the public focuses on the other part, right? Because we're taught to do that, not because we're a bunch of dummies, but we're marketed to believe, bombarded to believe that if I'm not using one of these indicators here, or if I'm not using some VWAP or some Bollinger Bands or some Fibonacci retracements, then absolutely 100% false. 0% truth to it at all. Okay. If I'm wrong, then somebody please explain to me how people are making money with point and figure. Explain to me how people are making money way before software programs. Please prove me wrong. I'll wait. Okay. So the things that actually matter are The boring stuff, as always, managing risk, good risk reward setups, have a plan, be disciplined, position size, blah, blah, blah. And then when it comes to indicators, maybe you want to focus on the only one that really puts any money in and out of your account, price, right? So if you do that, you're going to simplify your trading. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Trading's only easy if you have a X profile or if you have a YouTube channel. Then trading's easy, right? Then you can just take $1,000 and turn it into 10,000 every week and tell everybody and get 100 subscribers. And then magically, none of them can do the same thing you just did. Wow, crazy. Blows my mind. Other than that, trading's never going to be easy, but knowing what to do can be, right? So we can take out 115, probably going higher. Let's buy some calls, right? So always want to, as far as I'm concerned, always want to kind of keep things as simple as possible. It's hard enough as it is. Keep an eye on VST. It looks like this 145 area might be something worth watching for a potential break to the upside. I don't really know that this is, we had this from this little 120 ceiling, but it doesn't look like we're really expecting it since. This is one that we had a pretty nice trade on last week. I can't remember, 200% on this one or 100. I don't know. It was a winner. How about that? We did pretty well. That was more of a play on volatility, though, than anything. Lulu sure looks like it's pulling back. I would think that if it got to 300, that would be an interesting price to look at. And what was the one? Now certainly looked like it was ready to pull back some. A little torn on, will it hold at 1,000? Or you'll notice that high and that gap low, right, seem to have something in common there. So I would think 1,000 or at 980 mark might be where we find some support there. All right, so we covered that one, Who else here? We got it now. CrowdStrike. Moving right along, seems to be heading back up. I think eventually it's going to make it to at least that 360. It's giving us some fits here and there, though. Oh, that's right. XBI finally broke out. So this is something we'll look at for smart trades today. Got ourselves that nice SPY winner. That's pretty cool. But if you look here, I think it's pretty straightforward stuff, right? It's hard to say what the price is, if I'm being honest. It's kind of like this range of 102.50, 103. Bottom line is we've taken them both out. And I would think we're going to see some biotech performing pretty well. So you can trade this, which is what we'll look at today. For those that are part of smart trades, we'll look at getting into trade here. We've been watching this for what seems like forever. As you can see, just waiting and waiting and waiting. We had a trade here. I think it was here, where we thought we had made the turn right off support and back up we go. And instead we fell lower. Managed to work this trade, flip it around by buying puts and stuff as well. But then you kind of see it's just floating all over. But anyway, here's what we've been waiting for. So I'll leave that up there. And speaking of volatility plays, Deer certainly looks like lower here. That's for sure. Nothing about that looks like fun. But this thing's been moving a lot. I mean, it's generally a pretty good mover anyway. But pretty nasty little day on Friday. And obviously you can see Cat doing the same, but we're going to keep an eye on that. I do want to throw XBI down here. We're going to talk about that here in about an hour or so. See if we can notch another winner. Futu jumping again. I think we covered all the stocks that we were monitoring. Let me see here. Yeah, so Broadcom up top here, somewhere right across this top. It's hard to say, but you can kind of see there's some sort of, right kind of there. So I don't know if we're talking 185. Seems to be 185-ish, even though we did kind of close higher than that over here. So keep an eye on Broadcom. Taking a look at the market here. Nothing too terrible. Nothing too crazy happening. Oh, UNH. UNH was one we really liked what it did last week. Been watching that little whatever it is, 608 level, somewhere around there. Nice little pop through. So you might want to take a look at this for a long play. Let's see if we have anything else. Have a look at Docu late. No, I have not. Gosh, that's a blast from the past. Let's see. Wow. Nice couple days here. Let's see. What is this? Let's see. I guess it's supposed to be here. Let's look back. What was this? Oh, this must be from a split. I don't see a split. Well, wait a minute. This was drawn from here forward. I do not see a split. Why that's here? Bye-bye, sucker. All right. Once you took out 65, there you go. This was an old trend line from a breakdown. I haven't looked at this in a while, Jake. I remember we used to look at this all the time. So, I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to go long here. But certainly I would think ripe for a pullback. Which, don't get me wrong, I mean, could go up another $10 today for all I know, but I'm not as big of a fan. I don't mind getting in like here or maybe even here, but kind of straight up in the air for 4 days. I think I'll kind of wait that out. But nothing about Friday looked like it's done going up. So yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I haven't looked at that in a while. We took that on our list a long time ago, but certainly doesn't look like it's coming down. I mean, nice. It's like a nice little trend. Gold getting whooped. I thought we might have been turning around over here, but apparently not. Look at that. Getting close to being down about 200 here from the high. So sorry about talking. Wow, look at oil. How about you guys? That's starting to look like a Head and Shoulders little continuation, doesn't it? Starting to look like it. There, there, there. So if you take out this low down here, which goes further back, right? It's not just here. That sure implies one hell of a fall. if we were to trust what this pattern says, it implies a fall down to like mid 50s. All right, now it's party. But it's been falling for a while. Yeah, look at that. They're hitting about 130. It's lost about half its value. You go, boy. All right. Okay, market's getting ready to open, so I'm gonna definitely let you guys get to it. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll do it again next week. For now, hey, I mean, market's still, kind of got a little more juice in it, judging from the futures. But just be careful. We don't go up every day. It's always pullbacks. So don't be surprised if we're closer to that than we are to another 5% or whatever, 2 or 3, whatever. What did we get? 300 points. It's a lot. 6% move or something. But all right. Speaking of, for those in my mentoring program, I'll see you here in about 30 minutes. Those in smart trades, I'll see you in about an hour.